everybody. Welcome to episode 146 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight?
Hello, I'm Dominic Chicoki. How you doing? I'm from the Dissident Ways podcast on YouTube.
And I'm Julian Titus from the Nerds Without Pants podcast. And ooh, what is this? A liver?
I couldn't even think of anything for this. I'm like, yeah, that's all that came. And before we go too far, I do want to mention two things. One, there will be a giveaway midway through the episodes I've been doing all Spooktober. You'll get a giveaway for a Steam code, so listen to that. It will come midway through the episode. And we also have a Patreon poll going on right now, our Psychic Patreon poll, as I'm calling it, where you can vote for what show we're going to cover the first episode for Pilot Test. Psych, Mentalist, Veronica Mars, or Monk. So you get to choose.
Oh,
whatever.
Good shows.
Monk.
I love
Psych
half of those shows.
right now. So
my mom loved Veronica Mars.
That's a good show.
Monk is a really good first 3 seasons. Really, really good first 3 seasons.
I've never seen it.
Like, the pilot is fantastic. Psych is also very good, but Monk's first 3 seasons, unparalleled.
Yeah, no, I watched all of Psych. That's a good freaking show.
Like, Monk's first 3 seasons are, like, legitimately good TV, and then after that it becomes a USA show.
It's on my list someday to watch it. It just hasn't happened yet. And then I should mention what we're here to talk about. Today I have these gentlemen to join me to talk about Animusha Warlords, which came out in 2001 for PS2, and then apparently since then has been released on everything. PS3, yes. PS4, Xbox One, iOS, Android. So yeah, it's everywhere.
We're learning that the Xbox version, Genma Onimusha, is an exclusive port even still. This is the PS2 version that also got ported to HD.
Yeah,
the Xbox stuff never got anywhere.
I didn't think about that when I bought the HD collection when it came out. Now I'm retroactively angry because I've never played Genma Onimusha. God damn it.
And unfortunately, there's no Xbox emulator for me to send you a link and off the show to give go here. I
wouldn't play it.
No. Xbox is one of the things I never got. They don't have an emulator for original Xbox, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's very testy still, even.
Which upsets me because there's a lot of games on there I really want to play that I own, but I don't want to play on Xbox. I want to save states, damn it.
I think most of my original Xbox games that I wanted to play are backwards compatible, with the exception of the Otogi games. Those are the ones that I really wish that I could go back and play.
Those are Otogi 1 and 2 and Breakdown are the 3 games that I always like. Once there's an Xbox emulator, I mean, I own Breakdown.
Yeah, Breakdown's backwards compatible.
Yeah, but there's no save states, and I suck. I played the game. Like, I legitly tried to play that game back in the day. I got my ass handed to me.
It's challenging.
So, like,
there's probably a guide.
Not going to happen. So, but yeah, no, we'll talk about Game Animusha because I know about the changes. We can bring that up whenever we get there. But so Animusha's game, if I remember correctly, wasn't this a launch PS2 game?
Launch window.
Okay, because I actually had played this game right when my friend had got a PS2 shortly after it came out. And I remember he had Animusha and he had the Bouncer, and we played the Bouncer. But I remember him having this game too, and we played. We sucked at it. Like, we never got very far.
I think it's worth asking, which version did everyone play?
So, Mike, I felt bad because the last few appearances that I've made, or like a handful of the appearances I've made, like I haven't been able to finish the games that we've been talking about because of like weird circumstances or the game didn't come in on time or whatever.
In your defense, they were Legacy of Kain games, and Legacy of Kain games are notoriously glitchy. So. True,
but I did you one better on this one, Mike. I finished the HD collection on the Xbox, and then as soon as I finished that, I bought and played all the way through the game on the PlayStation on the HD collection. So ask me anything about Onimusha. It's very fresh in my head. I played it in 2 hours and 26 minutes yesterday.
Nice.
Man, it is a short game.
It is.
Which I'm okay with that. Like, I know some people would complain about that, and I know that was one of the complaints at the time, but, I don't mind a short... Well, when you play a game every week, you don't mind short games at all.
Yeah, short games are great. Yeah. I played on PS4.
Okay, I played...
It doesn't overstay its welcome at all. I think it does... Well, we'll get to it, because I think this is a perfect example of a launch-era new console game where they've got great ideas, but they clearly wanted to get it out in a certain time frame, and so the game just kind of ends. And you're like, oh, I thought that there was going to be another boss, but we're done. Okay, cool.
Okay. I played this on PC, but I played the PS. I actually, so I went and bought the PC version right before I was going to play this game. Like, okay, I'm going to play the PC HD port. I installed it on my PC. I'm ready to go, and I'm like, who am I kidding? Went and pulled up the PS2 emulator and played the ROM because I could save state. Because this game scared me, not because like it's certain games that come from different parts of my childhood or my memory where they gave me a lot of trouble, and that anxiety is there. Like, I don't know if I can do this, and so I just went with save states, and I don't think I would have beaten this game not as quickly as I did without save states.
The reason I ask is only because if I remember correctly, the original PS2 version, there was no analog controls.
Yes, I had to play with the D-pad.
And the PS4 version fixes that.
It wasn't so bad. Even for...
Okay, yeah, sure.
I didn't have a choice, but it went okay for me with the D-pad. Like, I was surprisingly, I got the hang of it. Mm-hmm. But I did forget until way later in the game that you can like you can strafe. So I would just turn around and run from people like the RE style.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm a staunch tank controls defender, especially in games where there's preset camera angles. So it didn't even occur to me that I could use the analog stick on this one. I was just like, yeah, you play this with the D-pad, like, let's go.
I don't have a problem with tank controls in this game.
I don't have a problem with tank controls, but if the option is there not to use them, I don't know if I will use them.
Yeah, my issue is that if I have analog control in a fixed camera angle game, I get into these situations where the camera angle changes and all of a sudden I'm going the opposite direction and the camera angle changes again, and I will do that for like 4 times in a row before it gets into my head. Oh wait, okay, when it changes, stop pressing that direction, and the tank controls, this is like up is always forward, so I know where I'm going, and that's just how it works for me.
That is true.
So for those that don't know, this game is what many people like to call Resident Evil meets Samurai. I mean, that's the easiest way to put it. Like, I mean, that's kind of what inspired it, because this is a Capcom game, of course. And it plays kind of like Resident Evil, because you have tank control. At least if you're playing the old version, you have tank controls, but you also have a sword, and you're a samurai, so you have actual combat skills.
Yeah.
And it works. Like, I was surprised that, like, I enjoyed the combat most of the time. I also love the first scene when you first see these, which I think is an iconic enemy in this game, or just in general, like the skeleton guys with the round hats and the green stuff. It look like just regular soldiers that are now zombified.
Right.
Yeah.
I really like them.
I love all of the monster designs in this game. Like, it's got a very distinct look to it, and like, my thing is that Capcom is my all-time favorite developer, and the PlayStation 2 era was like just them firing on all cylinders. Like, I think even their mediocre stuff on the PlayStation 2 is better than a lot of stuff that we get like we got in the last couple generations. Like, just really cool, vibrant characters and worlds and gameplay systems, and just love everything they did on the PS2.
I kind of have to agree. Like, the more I play the Capcom stuff that I never got to, the more I really, really like them, especially during, like, the early 2000s to, like, maybe 2011 era. That's the cutoff for me, I think.
Yeah, there's, like, a specific fall-off point during, like, the 360 era, but then they've started to come back, and that's been nice to see. Like, their success with the recent Resident Evil games and Monster Hunter World, like, that's been nice to see, and it seems like they're starting to get their chops back a little bit. I'm still waiting for a better Street Fighter than the last one we got, but that's another story.
My problem is that I just don't like Resident Evil.
That's fair.
I just never got into it, and so I was very interested to try this, and I really liked this. So I'm like, maybe I'll give it another shot. Who knows?
So this was your first time ever playing this game then, Dominic?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
This is my first time ever beating this game and getting farther than the water puzzle.
Yeah. It's funny because I normally don't replay games. I worked in retail for a long time, so I would tend to buy a game the day it came out, finish it in a week, and then trade it in the next week to buy the next new game. But I bought the PlayStation 2 for Onimusha because Zone of the Enders was coming out a couple months later, and I needed that Metal Gear Solid 2 demo. But I was like, okay, Onimusha is like a good jumping on point. And so that was the only game that I had initially. And so I must have played it multiple times and not remembered, because when I bought the HD version in 2019, like the day it came out, I was like, oh, I remember all of this.
It's still...
Cool.
like it also has a very interesting, like the way this game starts, the first cutscene you get, which I like the fact that this game takes place in medieval Japan during the whole like samurai era, like that, and the way they started, like the first thing you see is this really cool cutscene, especially for the time that this game came out, of these soldiers just fighting each other. Then you see Nobunaga, which is a legendary figure from history, stand up and take an arrow to the neck.
Yeah.
And they just kill him.
Never fails to make me laugh.
Yes.
And like he doesn't play a huge part in this game, but I know he plays more in the rest of the series, I want to say. I've only played one other Onimusha game that I've beaten, which was Animusha Tactics, which will 100% be on the show.
Hey, good on you. I was going to say that I've played the whole series except for 4, and I was like, I even played Onimusha Tactics.
Oh, Tactics is amazing.
It is. It's really good.
Well, we'll get there. I've been wanting to do it. I just haven't done it because longer game. But
I'm down to play all 6 of them. Whatever. That's fine.
Same. It's just cool. I mean, I love history, which has been said in the show many times. I love how this game interacts history, where the whole thing is Sanosuke gets a letter from his sister or some princess.
The princess.
Yeah, he doesn't work for her clan. He just seems to be acquainted with her.
Okay.
It doesn't really specify how. He seems to be kind of this wandering samurai who just is clearly legend. Like clearly his reputation precedes him. That's the thing about Onimusha, is that story-wise, there's like a lot of lore that you can get from the files that you collect, but as far as the actual A to B to C plot, it's really simple and not really well defined on what's going on or why.
Yeah, they don't really explain it super well.
He cares about the princess. He has to go save her. Demons happen.
At some point, he has this really moving speech about how he went to go see the world, and you owe it to yourself to see other lands, and it comes out of nowhere because the character is just so nothing for most of the game.
Yeah, he's just like the whole idea. I guess he gets that letter, and he goes to this castle where she's at, and then you see her get abducted by demons, Genma, and that's what the whole story of this game is: you running around this giant castle ground trying to rescue her.
Yep,
and shit keeps happening.
Very simple: rescue the princess.
Yeah,
tale as old as time.
It worked. Like, I mean, I didn't even care what I was doing or why I was doing it. I was just having fun fighting, because in any game where if you give me experience points, and this game does that, where when you kill enemies, you have a gauntlet that you get early on that absorbs their souls, and you can use their souls to upgrade your magic and your weapons and your items, and that's all I need, and I will gladly kill everything in my path to keep upgrading myself.
Yes. I maxed out by the end of the game, which was really cool.
Yes.
I came close.
I love that the weapons transform as you level up, and also the magic attacks just get amazing. Like by level 3, it's really fun.
Yeah,
and you need them to be level 3 also if you're going to beat this game.
Also, getting that final weapon is crucial for that final boss.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
I didn't get it this time, and it was funny because I was like, "Why is this taking so long?" And I forgot that it was because last time I had the Bishamon sword. It's like, oh, okay, that's why. Okay.
It's got to be a long fight without that.
Yeah, I tried it, and then it's like, oh, that door. I probably can use that item that I haven't used yet on that door.
I mean, one thing that I know that this game is compared to Resident Evil a lot. One, this game was made by Keiji Inafune, or he directed, or he had something to do with it.
I think he was the producer, and I guess he might have been co-creator.
Probably.
Like, you know, and again, PS2 era, like, you know, he also was the one behind Shadow of Rome, and of course the Mega Man series, and I want to say he might have had some sort of hand in Clover Studios, like them giving, you know, those guys like their first shot. Yeah.
And then
Clover being the people who did.
And that's when Capcom just completely changed for a little while.
Yes.
Okay. I was watching some videos about it, and they mentioned that he was involved in this. So that's why I'm like, I should bring that up.
Yeah, he's the first name that pops up in the credits. Like, very large.
Okay. He was a good creator. He made some good games.
He kind of fell off a bit after Capcom, but that's a different story.
Yes. Yeah. He also didn't develop.
He didn't have the Bloodstained story, unfortunately. He had the other story.
From what I remember, Mighty Number 9 wasn't even done by him. It was done by somebody else. He was just a company that raised the money or something for it. He's not involved in it as much as we thought he was.
Yeah. The best game that Keiji Inafune was in after Capcom was the Otome game Sweet Fuse on PSP, where it's about his niece having to save him from a Saw type amusement park.
Huh. That sounds cool. Okay.
And then she has to fall in love, of course, with all the different guys that pop up in the story.
Of course.
It's just that in this game, you can feel the inspiration of Resident Evil 1 with, like we're saying, tank controls. 1, the graphics are, what is this called? Where they have the backgrounds are 2D or
pre-rendered.
pre-rendered, and that works. I have I actually like this game. Was like when I first loaded up my PS2 emulator, it was a little like it doesn't look that great. But after about maybe 20 minutes of playing, I'm like, this is fine. Like I was enjoying it. Like I'm like, this still looks good.
Yeah, it looks great.
The graininess went away. Like it still held up. I like pre-rendered graphics. I don't mind the way that this was, and this game is pretty damn creepy still.
Like the glow of the PS4, like it looked fine. Like there was no issue really with like maybe the character models were a little old looking, but other than that, like it was fine. Like when you have an actor playing Samanosuke, you're gonna see the actor.
Yeah, I forget the movie that they released over here that he was in that I saw, and I was like, oh, it's Samanosuke. And that was really cool. Although apparently that has also led to some issues because Onimusha 3 has him and Jean Reno in it, and that's the reason that it's never been even talked about being re-released because the licensing issue is just like kind of insurmountable. We're also seeing that right now with Lost Judgment. There's a whole thing right now where the agency that represents the actor who plays the main character doesn't want Sega to release their games on PC, and so they might be done because they need PC sales, and if they can't release those games on PC, then there's no point in continuing with that actor.
I hate that about games. I hate licensing problems. Like that's why with Marvel games, a lot of times I'll try to buy them or I'll just wait, 20 years. Because it's like they're not coming, or when they come back on PC at some random point in Steam, like before they delist them, I will buy them immediately when they get to that cheap point. Like you have to with that type of stuff.
Yeah,
I hate licensing so much sometimes.
Copyright and rights stuff just needs to be revamped and redone for the modern age. It's just too restrictive as it is.
Yeah. So I just bought the Alan Wake Remastered Edition, and I couldn't find a firm answer on. Is the music still in this game? Because that's a huge part of the experience for me. And it famously got delisted. The original version got delisted because of the music right. And thankfully the music appears to still be intact in the game. But it's like, yeah, but what happens 7 years from now? Does this version get delisted? Like,
It's stupid. Like it just needs to be better.
Yes, I 100% agree.
Like royalty or something, but these contracts need to stop expiring. I mean, I know Animusha 3 is never coming back out. I mean, I actually unfortunately don't even have a copy of that game. I only bought Animusha 1 and 2 when I was younger because I didn't ever get into the series very far.
Yeah, I mean, Onimusha 2 is my favorite, but I do kind of regret not repurchasing 3 when I started building my collection back up.
I kind of regret it now because that game's never getting re-released.
Yeah.
Another thing about
get it.
Yeah,
it's still out there.
I just don't care enough now.
Prices are getting crazy now. I haven't looked up that, but
I think it's more of the other 3 that are getting more pricey, from what I remember correctly.
No, 3 is $25 on.
Oh, that's not bad. 4 is probably the pricey one because it didn't really sell that well to begin with.
4, the fighter, and then tactics. I'm gonna bet are getting more pricey.
Yeah.
Animusha 4 didn't even pop up. What is it called? Animusha
Dawn of Dreams.
Dawn of Dreams.
Now we're 40. One guy's selling it for 46, 55, 55, 30.
I can still swing that. God damn it.
Not terrible.
This podcast is going to cost me money.
I pay $100
happens
for
when I start
Graffiti
talking about
Kingdom.
old games.
It's fine.
There's other ways. But, okay. But, Animusha, I was surprised how much fun I was having with this game. I would go into a room, especially early on, and enemies would spawn. I would just kill them all because I'm like, I want experience. And it gives you 3 different types of orbs. One orb will give you experience, one orb will heal you, which I never saw very often, and one orb will give you magic. And then
you didn't see that's interesting because the health orbs I think are pretty generous.
I didn't get them a lot. Well, okay. Well, one, I should put this out there. I did play in saves, as I said. I would save and load a lot, so there'd be times where I'd be at mid health, but I wasn't in low health very often because I wouldn't let that happen.
Gotcha.
So that might have played a part in it. Why? Because I was watching a video, and the guy's like, the health orbs are baited on, if you're in low health, they'll give you more health orbs or not.
Yeah.
And I was never really in low health that often.
They'll usually tend to give you more magic orbs when you're running low, although I did notice this time around that I wasn't getting them quite as often. The last boss in particular, I remember when you would stagger him, he would drop a bunch of magic orbs, but the last 2 times that I beat him for this podcast, I don't think he dropped any, and so I ended up just depleting all of my magic on all 3 weapons and then just going to town with slashes because it's really all I could do.
I think he drops like a couple, like maybe one or two when you get him down each time. That's or maybe it's health. I can't remember. It's one of the
like I would see him drop like a couple of the tiny ones, but I'm like, that's not going to help me. Like, and also they drop so far away that like when you're trying to suck him up, and then he's just like doing eye lasers at you. I'm like, stop it, just stop it. Give me the orb.
I didn't have that problem.
And then he has the one-hit KO move.
Does he? I've never.
Yeah,
we'll get there. So this game, like, I like the way that you can also backtrack for a lot of your areas throughout the game. Like, it's like, again, very Resident Evil-y that you're in, like, you're not in a mansion, but you're in a big keep. You're in a big castle, and you can. I mean, you end up backtracking multiple times, but usually the backtracking wasn't too bad. It usually pretty. It was all pretty. It felt pretty quick when you had to do it, except when you do it by choice. Like I ran around sometimes just because I get lost.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
and that is me.
It's a really cool. It's interesting because it's like the Resident Evil PlayStation 1 design refined. So like the way that like the level is designed, you tend to be where you need to be when you have the new thing to progress.
Yeah.
And then when you finish that area, it comes back around to where you needed to be, sort of like modern Souls games.
Zelda like, yeah.
Yeah, but I love the fact that it's also just like Resident Evil as hell, where it's like, yeah, this door, you need these 2 crest pieces. Why? Don't worry about it. Don't ask questions. It's just the way that this keep is. Just get it. Do it. They didn't try to explain it like Resident Evil does.
Well, that one lab technician, he put the wolf crest in a book because he was worried about the lock.
That's right.
There's none of that. I mean, you do get a lot of journals in this game.
Spencer was very paranoid, okay? And that paranoia, like, ended up kind of getting into the other Umbrella employees. And so they started to create these really elaborate methods of hiding their data.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with it in here because to me it fit a Japanese castle. I felt like the traps, the different puzzles, the way things are, to me it all made sense to go along with what you were doing in the place that you were at.
Absolutely.
I mean, also this game is, I feel like one, this game will get a couple different armors, and like one you get midway through. Like it does a good job of just giving you things to help you out and keep you, like I didn't get bored playing this game really ever. I mean, one, I beat it in 3 hours, but I never got bored. Like it just, I was always getting experience, so I was happy. The enemies vary, and as the game progresses and you have to backtrack more and more throughout this keep, they keep changing up the enemies. They'll put new and stronger enemies in these old rooms, which then I would avoid them.
Yeah, it's not the Resident Evil thing where once you clear out an area, you're kind of safe for a while. It's like, in some cases, they'll respawn like when you come right back into the room.
Yeah, which is, you can farm.
Yeah, and that's exactly why that's there. There's literally a part where they give you like an unlimited like magic well, and it's not to solve a puzzle. It's because you're about to hit a door that has like an extra lock to it, and so if you don't have your orb, leveled up enough to open that door, here's a really easy way to go kill all the enemies on the previous screen with magic, and then go refill your magic and just rinse and repeat until you have enough experience.
Right.
Which is nice. You also get 3 swords, 3 main swords in this game. You start out with 1, then you get 3 powered ones. The first one you get is called the Raizoku.
Sounds right.
It's a blue sword that it has a magic attack of lightning, which I don't really like because it's not crowd control. You smack a guy, do, and you get hit by a lightning bolt. It looks cool.
It's crowd control on level 3. That is my favorite weapon by far. I love that one.
I got it up level 3, but I didn't use it. It was my least favorite sword, so I didn't use it as much.
Interesting.
My least favorite was definitely the second one.
Yeah, too slow.
In Ryu, the fire one, that one's a little bit slower, but I really like the fire attack where he comes down and shoots a big fire wave at people.
Yeah.
It is slower, though. It's like, that's the slowest. The Raizaku is probably the mid one. I'm a big fan, whatever that swallow weapon was.
Of that fan.
I love that. That's the weapon that I leveled up to level 3 the first. I just love that weapon.
Oh, yeah. The area of effect is amazing, and that is like the best way to fight the insect boss, because it'll take her out of the air and then stuns her, and then you can switch to another weapon and use that weapon's magic. It's really
not how
good.
I beat her.
I just use all the projectiles until she went down.
Yeah, you could, and I was doing that more this time. Like in previous times, I would just use the wind magic and then hit her with a hard attack when she came down. But this time, I actually crafted some burst bullets and used the rifle for, I think, maybe the first time ever. Like I never used to use it.
I was very surprised that this game had arrows and guns.
Yeah.
And then I actually used them and they were effective.
Yeah.
I only used the bow a couple times to take out a few random archers that were bugging me, and I only used the gun on the big insect boss. And that was it.
Arrows are like 2-hit kills.
Oh, I didn't like them. I don't know. I just saved them. I think I just saved them because like I have an issue in game where if I have expendable items, I just save them for some reason.
I mean, that's totally fair. But it's
Plus,
like
I had a sword.
Yes, you have a sword, but like compared to Resident Evil, where like a pistol will take him out, like a zombie out in like 5 shots sometimes.
Yeah,
2 shots of an arrow is incredible.
And a single shot to the weaker enemies, like the skeletons, go down in just a single arrow shot. That's really nice. I also like the rare instances where you get to take out enemies with the environment. Like there's that part with like the battering ram where if you cut the rope, it goes down the slope and kills like 5 of them in a like one shot. You can also drop one of the like big like samurai monsters into a ravine if you get them to cross a bridge and then cut the bridge down.
I did that too.
Yeah, I wish there was more of that because that's super satisfying.
Like there's ones that are like crawling out of a hole. You can just kick them back in.
Yeah.
God, the Genma have really good designs too, and the way that this game gives you your weapons, like you progress. Oh, you beat a boss. Okay, here's this. Here's this orbit you got. Now you I want to talk about the swallow weapon, the Arashi. I think what it was is that weapon's very fast. It's probably the fastest weapon in this game. So when I leveled up to level 3, it was just so powerful and I just fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
And was fast. And I didn't block as much in this game as I probably should have because I just didn't want to, I guess. And I also didn't know you could hold down R1 and jump around to dodge more like you're supposed to. I didn't do that. I just hit buttons.
I didn't do that either.
It's not super necessary except for certain bosses where you definitely want to be like stepping forward to get them to start their attack and then quick step back and then step forward back into counter.
I just ran and take controls to get away from them and it worked. It's not the best. It wasn't the best way to do it. I had forgotten that you hold down R1 and he kind of goes into a stance. And you can move around the enemy a lot better. Even though like I did it, and before I played this game, I watched a YouTube video and said, okay, what tips should I have before I start? And they had talked about the Ishin that I never even knew was in this game.
Yeah, I love that move, but I've never been able to perfect it. Like
what is the Ishin?
It's basically like a perfect, not a parry, but if you hit the button right before their attack lands, he will dart behind the enemy and kill them in one hit.
Yeah, I think I've done that a couple times. Yeah.
You'll get it by accident.
Yeah.
I don't, and Kaede has one too, but hers is easier to pull off because you just like somersault over the guy, and then if you hit the button in the right timing, she'll just like slit their throat and kill them. But I don't think in Onimusha 1 you can chain them, but I know in Onimusha 2 they actually built more of the combat around the Isen, and you can actually, if you're real good, you can just like take out an entire room of enemies in basically one go.
You cannot chain it, but because it's all based on you have to press the button right before they hit you.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can also do it with blocking, where if you block right before they hit you, then hit square, he will do the same thing, but it's not as powerful. It's more powerful if you're not blocking when you do it.
Now,
it kills most enemies in one hit.
You're using a term here, Genma, to refer to the enemies, right?
Yes.
Did your version have that in the text?
I think so. I wasn't reading.
No, it's not translated properly because they're called demons, even though like the Japanese term is Genma, and then it's the clan of ogres that gives you the gauntlet, even though they're Oni because it's Onimusha.
Right.
But it's interesting because I played the Xbox version in English because I wanted to have that authentic bad voice acting experience, and also that you couldn't have Japanese voice acting in the original version. But then I went ahead and played it in Japanese on the PlayStation version. But it's interesting because the subtitles are still this exact same translation as the dub, so it's kind of weird because it's like I know that's not what you said just now, but that's okay.
I just kept saying Genma because I think I just know they're Genma, so I just fill in the word. I also wasn't paying attention to most of the stuff that was being said in this game. I was just playing the game.
That's fair.
There's not a big reason to pay attention to it. Honestly.
I just think it's funny that they decided to translate it for this one game, and then after that, they're like, never mind.
Well, it's early PS2 era. I mean, so I think that.
I was shocked at the time that they actually called it Onimusha, because back then we did not really get like the standard Japanese title they would change them completely, and especially because they don't use the word Oni at all in the game, so it doesn't even really tie into the story for us.
Because Ogre Musha would be just silly.
Yes.
I had never known until just now that the clan of Ogres was supposed to be the clan of Oni.
Yeah.
Never put that together, even though I played Animusha Tactics.
If you watch a lot of anime, like, you definitely see the connection at the end when he transforms into his Oni form, because it's straight up like an Oni, monster design.
And I know of that because that's in Tactics, the Tactics game too. But it didn't click.
Yeah.
I don't know, I had a hard time with this game. Like, I had a lot of anxiety playing this game at first until I got the hang of it. And it wasn't the game's fault. It was just all the past memories of playing this game for the first time in 2001 and just having such a hard time with it. And it just, it just didn't go away.
Didn't you have that anxiety with Mega Man Legends, was it?
Yes, that too.
Yes.
I'm also going to have the Silent Hill 3 too, which is, I have to start this week. So it's just
I seem to be getting paired with that for you.
We'll see how that goes. But I have a guide, so we'll be fine. And I have save states. But I just get that way with old. I'm not a big survival horror guy, even though I'm played 4 horror games. I'm playing 5 horror games in a row right now, but that's because of Spooktober. It is what it is.
I wouldn't necessarily put this in the survival horror category, even though it's obviously the format is the same, but the fact that you have so much offensive capability and that enemies will help you regenerate your health, so you're not having to manage your resources as closely as you do in survival horror. I always feel super powerful in Onimusha. And it's so satisfying because the sound effects are really good. Like, when you slash an enemy, it's just like, oh, that's really getting in there, isn't it? Oh, yeah.
It's worth mentioning that this was also co-developed to a degree by Flagship, one of the technically an independent Japanese developer, but deeply involved in Onimusha, the Resident Evil games from that era. They did the Capcom Zelda games on Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance,
Oracles,
Dino Crisis 2, Dino Crisis 3, Clock Tower 3.
Oh, they did a lot of games.
Did they work on Resident Evil Outbreak?
No, that's the one they did not do.
Good game.
Okay.
With 2, Code Veronica, Dead Aim, Survivor, and 0.
Dead Aim's good too.
Cool.
Not many people were going to say that, but I like Dead Aim a lot when I played it.
And then they somehow ended with doing Kirby games before they became defunct.
Huh.
All right, and I think it's time to do that free code for you guys. This is a Steam code for Dungeons 3, and the code is IMFCHLAIHZVE9. There's your Steam code for Dungeons 3.
One thing I found interesting about the Animusha story too is there's one guy that you find who's a human, but he's working with a demon. And I like that they did that. I like that there's some, because that's what would happen. You would have someone who betrays their own kind to join the enemy for power. I'm not sure how much power he's getting, but it's not surprising.
Why are they willing to kidnap and hurt children?
Yes.
Yeah. And I like the fact that, when they introduce him, the narrator steps in real quick and tells you, oh, one day he's going to conquer the world under this name. And it's this super, fast, blink and you miss it, thing. And it's oh, I guess he was a real dude. But it's so much of the stuff in this game is not actually important to the actual story. The fact that, they keep bringing up Nobunaga, who you see die in the intro, but then you realize that he's been resurrected by the demons and they're helping him gain more power. And you never encounter him in the game. He doesn't have any dialogue. You don't fight him. You don't even see what happens to him after the end of the game. And it's so what was that for? Why? You
to
didn't
lead
even
up,
need
I
it.
guess.
Well, they couldn't have known it back then that they were going to do sequels. And I don't remember if he shows up in 2 or 3.
He's definitely in Tactics.
I think it's supposed to be Nobunaga is this big Japanese, historical figure, or in Chinese as well. I think he's Chinese. I can't remember.
No, I think he's definitely a Japanese figure, but I think it gets confused because you had the Romance of the Three Kingdoms games, but then they also had Nobunaga's Ambition, and they were the same type of game, and
Dynasty Warriors, of course.
Yeah,
yeah, my fault. Oh yeah, he's a big Japanese figure, and then it's he just dies. And then it's but he didn't just die. He comes back.
which is cool. But like,
Yeah.
let's explore that. let's fight zombie Nobunaga. Like, I am down for that.
You gotta fight a giant snake monster. You gotta do that instead.
Yeah, a very worried-looking snake monster. His face always makes me laugh.
I actually, like, one thing I was scared of this game, because when I played it as a kid, I got to the first boss, which is a big ogre-looking guy with a club, which is the one that you see early, like, very early in the game, and then that boss terrified me as a kid, because I couldn't beat him, and this time I had save state, but he went down pretty quick.
It's funny you say that. Because when I played the PlayStation 4 version, I was like, oh man, I'm going to try to like see if I can S-rank this, because it's fresh in my memory. I'm going to try to, because I wasn't sure if saves factored into it. So I was like, I'm not going to save very often. And I got to the first boss and he beat me. And I was like, that has literally never happened to me. Like, even in 2001, the first time that I played this game, that didn't happen to me. What is going on?
He's not weak, though.
He's not weak, no. You definitely got to whittle him down. And I like the fact that the game really expects you to be hammering on that magic button. They're like, nah, we know what you want to do.
Oh, yeah, yes. Especially when you get later in the game and you have all three weapons. I found out that when you get magic orbs, or if I've used magic in one weapon, I could switch a different weapon, use more magic.
Yep.
And then suck in orbs and then switch weapons again, use more magic. Like, the game, it's like, do we want you to use the magic we gave you, so use it. Like, we will make you use it. And it helps in combat so much. And I use magic all the time, especially on the harder enemies, where I'm like, I don't want to fight you. This will be faster.
There's certain enemies in that game that I have never fought legitimately. Like, because why? Like, I'm just like, no, you're going down with magic. And also, kudos to the ground stab, because that, like, if you can knock an enemy down, that's an automatic one-hit kill, and it's great.
Yeah. I couldn't always get it to work, but
it's finicky.
Finicky, for sure.
And one of the bosses I want to talk about, too, is the second boss, the one that you fight on top of the roof that gives you the third weapon. That is you fight him twice, unfortunately, but that is a really fun fight where you have to counter. You don't have to counter, but you have to, like, really, like, pay attention to his moves and then, hit him after he's done, so essentially countering. But it was just, I liked it.
It's like,
but I liked it.
Like, kind of like what's on the rooftops, you gotta be careful. Like, I don't think you can fall off, but, like, the illusion that you could is cool.
Yeah, it definitely makes you feel like that's what he's trying to do. Because all of his moves are like forward, like shield presses and stuff like that. And it's also really satisfying to break his shield and then take him down. And
another thing about this game that I want to mention too is that, I mean, as you're running through the keep, you keep getting more keys and you get access to new places like Resident Evil. And you'll see soldiers every so often that you can rescue that are fighting Genma. And if you kill the Genma, they usually just give you an item in the class. But as the game progresses, you find just tons and tons of dead bodies with spirits above them that can talk to you and give you hints. And I like how, like, you just see this castle as time progresses and you're like, the one day you're here, how bad everything is getting. Yeah. I really like that a lot. If you find the rosary of communication, because you can definitely not, like, it's an item that you can easily miss. I didn't realize it was that item that did it. I thought the game just did it because time had passed.
Because, wait, what?
There's an item you get where, as you progress through the game, all the dead soldiers that you see in the background now have spirits above them that can talk to you if you get one item.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I got confused because there's that item you get that you have to use in that, like, screaming doorway of souls or whatever.
Purifier Bell.
Yeah, you get them both in that same area.
But it's like,
it also wasn't too complicated. Like, I used the guide, of course, because it's me, but I didn't feel like these puzzles would have been something I couldn't have figured out. I felt like the chests were in the right areas when you go to a new area. Like, as long as you explore, and most items that you needed, key items, are all in chests. They weren't. Some were hidden, but you had the blinking light. It wasn't like Resident Evil or some games where, go check this birdcage for a clip of ammo or stuff like that. Like, you could find
the Purifier Bell really screwed me up, though, because I got it, and I thought I had used it on the door, and then I didn't. And so I just was walking around for, like, a good hour trying to figure out what to do. And it's like, I'll just try it again, I guess.
I could see a situation where you just don't find the door because of the way the camera angle is.
Yep.
If you're not hugging that wall, it's entirely possible that you won't have the camera angle change and see it. Like that hasn't happened to me, but I remember this playthrough. I was like, there's probably people who just don't know what to do for a long time at this point because they just don't find that door because it's a really weird placement for it.
Plus the text itself, like, if you have the bell, maybe you could figure it out, but, like, it's a little not specific of, like, you can actually do something.
Yeah.
The game doesn't really tell you a lot of stuff like that. Well, I mean, which fits old Resident Evil games and it fits this era.
I believe this was meant to be on the PlayStation originally. I would love to know how that version would have been.
It was. There's actually video, and one of the videos I was watching about this game, he had video of the PS1 version. I mean, it's rough, but there's some there. This was there.
It's funny too because I remember seeing like magazine previews of it, and of course being excited for it. But if you ever take a look at Soul of the Samurai by Konami for PS1, they were like, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. So there's basically like a PS1 like Onimusha style game. It's not great, but you can get it.
You have my attention though.
And then
I'm looking it up now since you brought that up.
There's of course the infamous story then of what spawned from Onimusha developing Onimusha.
Oh yeah, that is like are you talking about the Devil May Cry juggle?
Yes.
Yeah, that's such a great. I love that story.
I would love to see if they just implemented it in here as well.
Yeah, I think it would have actually been awesome. Like if you could like pop them up into the air and then hit them with magic or something like that.
Yeah.
This game inspired Devil May Cry also, in a way.
Yes.
I don't know so much that it inspired Devil May Cry itself. What happened was because like occasionally you do that like kind of uppercut swing, like if you press forward. There was a glitch in Onimusha when they were making it where it would launch the enemies into the air. And they were like, "That we need to fix that." But the other team, there's another team who was working on something else, and they were like, "We can use that." And that I don't know if they were already making Devil May Cry at that time because Devil May Cry was also supposed to be a Resident Evil game.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure if they would already decided that it was going to be something new, but they were like, "Okay, yeah, let's pop them into the air, and then what if you could shoot them on the way down?" And then a star was born.
So I looked up this Soul of the Samurai game that you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to play this now. I might have to make sure I get myself a version of it to play. You have my attention now.
It's one of those, C-list games that is definitely worth playing because you can have discussions about it, and it's one of those like things that didn't even land when it came out, and so it's lost to time, really. Oh, yeah. And I love playing games like that.
I don't do a lot of them on the show like that because they don't do as well, but I try to work in some random games. Like, well,
back when Konami just had different developers in different Japanese cities.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one is Sapporo. Hybrid Heaven on N64 has the Osaka team.
Love Hybrid Heaven.
Oh, and then, there's another big part of this game that I liked. I didn't like it at first, but I'm glad it has it. Like throughout this game, you have a couple parts you have to switch to Kaide, which is the ninja companion that you have, the female ninja companion. And I really it was actually fun. Like it's fun playing as her for a little break. Like there's a couple parts where one Sanosuke gets captured by the human person that you find, and then a clone of Sanosuke comes out, punches her in the stomach, and then you have to play as her.
Yeah. It's interesting because she doesn't, because they established like right off the bat that like regular weapons are not very effective against the demons. And so it's very challenging to kill stuff with her unless you can do that like one hit kill with her. But it's also, you start to realize that you can also just Resident Evil it where it's like, I'm just going to run past all of you and get to the door.
Well, hey, at least she's the master of unlocking because she has a Shinobi kit.
She does. She's really cool. I love her animations, and I honestly would have liked to see them bring her back in another game, but give her demon killing powers.
Yeah.
But apparently she just dies 14 years later, and it's fine.
It was fun. I mean, the first time you play as her is one of the worst parts of the game where you have a few different puzzles that come up. This is the part that broke me when I was a kid for the first time, where you have a couple simple puzzles, and then you have a water puzzle where you have Sanosuke's in a room, and there's little meteors filling up, and you have to move little blocks and put two blocks together, like one of those kind of puzzles, and it's random.
I was very surprised when this section came up.
Yeah, that's
I'm starting to realize that I have a bad history with things involving water that will break me, like the one underwater level of Ninja Turtles for the NES, the water temple in Ocarina of Time, and this goddamn puzzle with the water filling up. It's funny because this was where my hubris came into play on the first playthrough, where I was like, yeah, I don't need to save. Like, I got this, and I was like, oh shit, this puzzle. And then, of course, I failed, and I had to replay the last 45 minutes.
It's a shitty. I mean, I got it first try, but I also had saved it right before, so I was like, I don't care. But it's not that. I mean, when I heard it was random too, so it can be a lot harder than what you want it to be. Mine wasn't too bad, the setup I got.
Is it random? Like,
Well, that's what the internet told me. Is that true? I don't know, but the internet told me it was random.
Wait, what's supposed to be random about it?
The way the blocks are positioned.
Oh, okay.
It seemed to me like they were it seemed to me like they were the same, and I started to watch a speed run because I was just curious like what that looks like, and it seemed like he knew exactly like what order to move the blocks, but
Okay, so maybe
he also might just have like, you know, that type of focus where he's like, I know exactly where I need to go as soon as I look at this tile set.
Yeah, because I'm assuming it's different. You know, it probably has a certain amount of varieties you'll get, so they know which one. I'm not sure. I'm watching the speedrun as we talk, but I don't have the audio on, so I can't. So I'm not sure with that one, but it's annoying. But like I get it. They had to put that, you know, horror element in it and a puzzle, and that's. I mean, a lot of this game is like run around, get this key, open this door. Oh, okay, now you can go back here. But I didn't have any problem with the backtracking at all. It never really bothered me because I was getting experience while I was running around. I didn't care.
Yeah, and you're also picking up new things so quick, you know, so often as you're backtracking. I do think it's funny, and this kind of plays into my theory that this game was like a little bit rushed. Like, there's a part where you need like I think like 3 different items for different things, and it's like, oh yeah, they're just here like strewn about in this courtyard.
Yep.
Just kill these enemies, and here you go. This is all you need for this part of the game. And it's like, oh, cool. Thanks.
Well, there's one door at one point in this game that's the stairs are all blocked by fallen debris, which is in the Xbox version instead.
Interesting.
Because I'm assuming they just, you know, they have the store, they didn't have time to do it, but in the Xbox version, the Xbox port, they put a secret dungeon in there.
Nice.
And then you have that, and then you can contrast that with like the beginning of the game where it's like, oh, here's a box with a word problem you need to solve. You'll need to come back to it later once you have all of that.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that, but yeah, we have you have 2 different kind of puzzle boxes in this game. One where you have to put like you just have to move numbers, which you can just kind of figure out like how it moves. The other ones are where you have to translate the Japanese words or whatever they are, maybe not any Japanese word, but translate the words to then get the right meaning of the box.
Yeah,
but you have to get these books you collect throughout the game that will translate it for you, or you read a guide that tells you what to do. Like I did, but it's a cool part.
And those are very like the number trick boxes are vital. Like they have things you need to progress the story, but the word puzzle boxes are really, you can skip them if you don't need them. You'll get the power jewels and magic jewels that increase your health and magic, but you can not do that if you don't want to.
Which is, yeah. I mean, I did all the boxes. I got all because I was using the guide.
I got all the boxes. Like eventually, I had to, you know. Like that first one, I had to take some time to figure out what that puzzle was asking me to do. But it's like I'm glad I can go back and figure it out.
It's cool. Like you can. I mean, at one point in this game, you do something where you activate a portal or something where the evil world like breaks in and destroys part of the keep. But other than that, the whole keep you have open to throughout the entire game.
Well, there is also that section where you cut down that bucket in the well, and the thing just drops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it's like, when does that come into play? And then it's like way later.
You can grab the item without cutting down the bucket, but if you cut down the bucket, you get the item when you go down there.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, you can just grab it from the bucket without cutting it.
You probably have to go up top first before cutting it down. I'm sure.
Something like that. Yeah, you have to do something first. But yeah, I know the guy told me just to do it, so I did it. But one of the other enemies I want to talk about, there's this random like surgeon zombie demon guy that you see, and the first time you see him, he just obviously like Julian's comment, oh, a liver. Like he's just working on a dead body. You never fight the guy in the entire game. You see him like 2 times, but you never fight him. Or 3 times.
Yeah, that's another one of those things where I'm like, in a normal game, like this would be a boss at some point, but we just don't have time.
Yeah, it was pretty damn hilarious to me that like you see him, he's there, but then he just goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Like it made me laugh. I'm like, okay, because I always thought he'd be a boss in this game. Because like you said, he should have been, but he's such like the. I mean, he does release like some tentacle monster on you that becomes a regular enemy. Oh, there's also one room where you run through, which felt like Resident Evil, where you see all these tubes, like tubes on the side with like samurai demons inside them. And of course, you're like, yep, these are going to break. And as you run down the hallway, they all come out.
Oh, there's that one section where it's just, you see it one time where you come up on the second floor of the keep of that main room you kind of get into. And the first time you get to the second floor of that, where it shows you the fight happening like on the first level.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you can just see it happen as you go through the upper hallway. And then when you come back, it's done. And you have completely new camera angles.
Well, yeah, if you have the bow at that point, you can actually take out the enemies and they'll drop an item for you. But this second playthrough, I had done it out of order. So I was like, sorry, guys, I guess you're screwed. I'm just going to go ahead and go on to this next room.
I didn't go down there either. I didn't
But
have a,
like, yeah, but that's like a
I
very
had both,
specific event that's really cool to see. Like that
Yeah.
shows that despite maybe being rushed, they tried to input a lot of detail.
Oh yeah, I'm not like I don't want to take away like from the like what the finished product is because I think it like especially back in 2001 like my mind was blown. Like I loved this game. I still love this game. It's just now, 20 years later and kind of looking at it with more critical eyes, I'm like,
Right.
yeah, there's some stuff that was cut because they wanted this out, sooner rather than later.
I just think that the way it's divided is interesting.
Yeah.
You have those sequences of great visual camera effects, and then the breeze block of stairs.
Yeah.
yeah, that's normal gaming though, especially Resident Evil style stuff.
It also does a really good job of like establishing that, that the demons have really messed up this keep, but also they continue to mess it up. Because it does change, like Mike said, like once that section of the demon tower like crashes through the keep, like it affects other areas of the game, and so it doesn't feel as static as some of the pre-rendered backgrounds in other Capcom games do. And again, I think that was like because they could do that on the PS2. It was like the power of the PlayStation 2.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this does a decent job of showing off early PS2 also.
Yeah.
What was possible? What was happening?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know one of the complaint.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I'm sure one of the complaints was that this game is short. I'm sure that was a complaint back then.
I don't think it was because it came out in that perfect window where it was like, all right, people who were early adopters have finished the games that they were going to buy at launch. This is a really cool looking new game. So let's pick this up. And it was just so polished and so good that I don't think that. And also, you got to remember, games were also shorter back then. So
this was before the whole open world craze too. So
exactly.
Okay.
It was like if this had come out in the 360 area, then yeah, it would have been totally like flamed for how short it was. But it was still like acceptable because you got to remember like the bouncer also was like super short, and that wasn't what people were complaining about.
Man,
about everything else.
I love the bouncer.
I need to finish playing the bouncer. I think I played through one of the playthrough, one of the routes.
I know a guy's been trying to find people to play that game with on the show, so I can help you.
Maybe we can go back to the bouncer as well.
Trying to. The game was actually supposed to be on the show, some Inside Baseball back. It was actually on the schedule back in 2020, but then my other two co-hosts quit, and the guest that I had became my co-host, Mike. So I was like, well, we're not doing this game now because I don't know if I can find any other volunteers. So, it's 100%. I want to cover that game so bad. I love that game.
2022, maybe.
Yeah, won't be this year, but yeah, it's on my list. No, I mean, trying to think of some other things I want to mention with Animusha. Like one, you fight a clone of yourself at one point, which is as a boss fight, which is kind of cool. I didn't have a problem with it.
He tends to be one of the tougher bosses for me.
Kick my ass, but
because he can definitely corner you, and if he corners you, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But if you don't let him corner you, then it's not too bad. You just really have to like make sure that you're blocking his fireball so that you can absorb the magic, and then kind of hit him with magic when there's an opening, and that's like the best way to take him down.
Yeah.
Well, you can absorb the magic by blocking the fireball?
Well, you have to block the fireball, and then it turns into a magic orb. It's faster than just dodging the fireball because the magic orb will be closer to your gauntlet.
I didn't even know that.
You block it, you absorb, and then you use the magic he gives you, then hit him when he's doing his magic attack.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he can block your magic attacks too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just waited until his defense was down, and then I attacked.
Yeah, and you can do that as well, definitely. Like, especially if he's winding up his fireball, if you're close enough, you can just start slashing. I love that the setup for that battle, because even for 2001, like it was just like really good framing and direction, like the way that it's like the first person perspective from the clone, like, and it's like his slow steps, and then it cuts to him coming out of the shadows, and he has this really like creepy look on his face. And then it has that face off between both of them right before the battle starts. It's like, they did some really cool stuff in this game that I don't think they get enough credit for.
No, yeah, they did some really cool stuff.
I also really like the second area you go later on where you have to go get the boat to get across, and you're like on water, like a water garden type thing is how I picture. You're on a lake, like you're on a floating buildings on a lake, it feels like. I mean, to me, it really feels like you're going to the residence house in the residence in original RE, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's how it felt to me. Like, I like it, though. I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, I had, at some point, I had seen this part before when I was younger. I had seen either my friend must have got here to where, because I remembered the bug lady that was coming up. Can't remember why I remembered the bug lady, but I knew of the bug lady.
Can we talk a moment about her introduction? Because
who is she?
Well, she's just one of the demons. She's masquerading as a human.
Yeah.
But she's just a demon in disguise. But I had forgotten about her intro cinematic when she transforms, and I was like, that's hella Ninja Scroll right there. That's not okay. I don't like any of this.
No, it's bad. It's a little gruesome.
Yeah.
I feel like
Cool
I've seen
design,
enough Wasp Queen type bosses that I was not very fazed by it.
I think it was just the actual transformation. Like there's something like overtly erotic about it, but also disgusting body horror.
Kind of like Cameo.
You keep bringing up that game every time you're on the show.
Because Graffiti Kingdom is a lot like Cameo.
Yeah, it was. Oh, God, Cameo. If you want to hear that episode, go look through our catalog. We did Cameo and Graffiti Kingdom. Two games, one game you might have heard of, one game you probably have no idea what it is.
Yeah, that whole section with the Wasp Queen is very interesting. And just, it's so weird because you have the whole, you're getting to the center of that kind of pavilion area, and then it's just a boat.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just take the boat.
Yep.
And it's just so random.
I also like the fact that when you switch over to Kaede, like the thing that happens is that Samanosuke gets surrounded by these bug creatures, as if he hasn't like slaughtered groups of enemies the same number like thousands of times already in this game. And I have to do like a little bit of mental gymnastics where I'm like, okay, when Kaede shows up, it's right after that happens. Like, it's not that he has not attacked for like the last 15 minutes. It's that she just showed up right as this happened.
Because, right, that's like, how it has to be.
Yeah, it's
because
like, why are you hesitating?
Because you can defeat that, I forget what it's called right now, the Evil World Gauntlet style, like 4x4 challenge.
The Dark Realm.
Yeah, you can beat the Dark Realm, so you can see those enemies. You can have already defeated them.
I already did. I did it before this. So I was like, oh, I already saw these guys. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So again, not something you're worried about, but the game is sure worried about it.
Exactly.
I really liked. Oh, we also should mention at one point, Kaede gets a second weapon. I can't remember if we said that or not. She gets a sacred knife that I didn't know you could equip it right away. And there's a part you have to hit these like tentacles and break them. And I was just hitting them, and nothing's happening. I'm like, oh, and I checked my inventory. I went, oh yeah, okay.
I both times for these playthroughs, I ended up getting the knife before I got to that point, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder if you need that sacred knife to get through these areas because they want you to have it for this boss." And clearly they do. I just it didn't click because I did it in the other, the opposite order.
I like this part with Kaede where you have to run to get to Samanosuke. It was fun to me because you get to go in rooms that he couldn't go into because she's the master of unlocking. And it just was it was fun to me. Like, I was like, I really liked the way she played. I didn't like how I didn't get experience, but I liked the way she played.
Yeah. I love her backflip.
It was funny that, like, the door would be locked, and then she'd use it, and then you go back to Samanosuke, and it's like, oh, the door is now ruined.
Yeah, that's some bullshit. I was like, let me go into these areas. I mean, I guess there's no point. There's no reason to, but there's just something, I don't like having doors that I can't access.
Right. It's just let him in. Let him in. She should have just unlocked the door. She didn't need to destroy it.
What if I missed some fluorite? It's gone.
Well, you better not miss it the first time, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I still haven't gotten all of them. I always end up with 18.
I don't remember how many I got. I know I got close.
I took a picture. I can tell you at the end when we get there, but nah.
Oh, I also took a picture. Let me see. I sent it to you. Like,
yeah, there's 20 total. And I'm imagining that it must be in one of the earlier areas that I haven't backtracked to after you get the ability to see them in the environment, but just haven't taken the time to do it.
I also laughed that there's a Resident Evil shotgun puzzle in this where you have to get the decorated arrow to put on the stool where you take the great arrow, because otherwise it locks the door.
Oh, it's so good.
I also got 18 fluorite.
You did too? Okay.
Oh, you had 18?
Yep.
Now you have me curious. Oh, we should mention fluorite is like this little hidden collectible in the game that serves no purpose, I think, right?
No, it unlocks like a whole mini game thing called Oni Spirits, and I've never seen that before, and I want to play it. It's sort of like I guess, to the easiest way I could put it is like it's like VR missions for Onimusha. It's like these like small room, like specific condition things that you have to go through, and they get increasingly harder as you progress. I want to do that.
I want to do that. I did not know about this.
I didn't even know this was in there. I mean, I knew the floor it was there, but I didn't know what it did or anything. I didn't care. I got 14 of them or 15 of them.
Yeah.
So that would have been more hours of content, but potentially.
Yeah.
You break vases or something, it looks like, or you just do little like puzzles?
Yeah, I think it's something like you have to like break vases and kill enemies, but your health is constantly ticking down.
Yeah.
So you're trying to do things like as efficiently and quickly as possible.
Huh. You got to break certain vases, I guess, and release things. Or you got to break them all, I don't know, and then you get health and stuff from it. Okay. Yeah, you got to break all the vases. I'm just watching it right now. I didn't even know this was in the game.
Interesting.
I've never even heard of it. I mean, I think they mentioned it, or one of my guides mentioned it, but I just didn't care. Like, yeah, you go into a room with different enemies and different vases, and you have to break stuff. And you get items
and stuff.
And the game ends, and then you go on.
I like breaking stuff in the game. Like I love the parts where you can actually like slice through like the paper shutters, or there's certain like files that are hidden behind scrolls that you can slash down. Like that stuff is really neat.
I like that too. Oh, you even get other weapons in this thing too? Like you get the other ore? This is interesting.
As someone who grew up with like Nintendo games and not being able to have a lot of destructible environments, I would have gone crazy for this as a child. I would have loved to have this. Just being able to slash like the bamboo in that section, or just the curtains.
You would really like this little Ani Spirits guide thing then that you get because you just break pots all the time.
I mean, there's a great PS2 game called Bujingai that the whole second level is just cutting down bamboo.
You gotta like. I mean, that was the best part of Bushido Blade 1 was like they knew what they were doing. They had the background with just the bamboo that you can run through and slash. It's like they know.
Bujingi, that's the Forsaken City game, right?
Yes.
But the same guy from Dirge of Cerberus. That's why that game will never get re-released?
Yes.
Genki or something?
Gaki.
Yeah. Okay.
Genki is a game developer.
Okay. I knew it was something with a G, but I didn't know what, so I guessed. I didn't guess very well.
Quick aside on that game, the first level is really cool because you play through the first level, and then you get the opening montage, which is just the footage of you playing the first level over credits.
That's neat. I like that.
It's probably going to be on the show at some point, because I know we've been talking about doing it someday.
Yes.
Me.
I will be there for that.
It might happen.
Is fun.
I like trying to... I don't do a lot of it, but I try to do some random ass games too in the show. So, and that's one that I didn't even know existed until we did Dirge of Cerberus and people brought it up. So,
yeah. You've done Dirge of Cerberus on the show?
Yeah.
My God.
I like Dirge of Cerberus, I think, still.
Oh, I'm okay.
It's not a good game. I know. I just like it.
I've rarely seen Square games be so boring.
Yeah. Well, I want to bring up that bug boss that we were talking about. Like, yes. So that was earlier. So at one point in Animusha, you do get a gun, a matchlock, which you don't have to get. It's hidden, I think. But I used it. The only time I used it was on this boss because it works well because she's flying. So I was able just to shoot her all the time.
Mm-hmm. And you just target her. You don't even have to aim. She's off screen. Just go for it.
Just keep shooting her, and I liked it. Like it was cool. It was It's the first fight that you do that's kind of... It's the only fight you do it like that, where you have little enemies that keep spawning in the room with you, and then you have her flying around, you have to take her down.
And that one can get a little stressful because those bugs are surprisingly resilient, and then also and I think this is intentional, but like absorbing souls is just slow enough to where you have to strategize about when you do it.
Yes.
And without fail, it's like when they drop health, it's like, oh, I need that health. Let me suck that up. And then you get the health, and then they immediately hit you, and you lose the health that you just got back. And it's like, motherfuckers.
This was a moment where I at least died once, if not twice, to this boss, which was not that super common, which was nice. But actually having to like think about my strategy and just like, okay, I'm just going to fire as many projectiles as possible. We'll see where we get from there. Okay, great. She's down. Go. Okay.
And then it's after you beat this boss, because right before you fight this boss, Sanosuke gets the Great Bowl. Because the whole like second half of the story of this game is that when the keep gets partly destroyed and the evil world comes up, there's a gate, and you have to get this great bow and this great arrow to break the gate and unlock where the final boss is.
Right.
I don't know. The Bug Lady was cool. Like, it was a cool cutscene you get of them escaping too, and it was nice to use the gun for the first time, and only time in the game.
The part where it's just an action scene from like a '90s movie where they're just running away from the pavilion, and then it just explodes.
Yeah,
For no reason at all, but yeah.
But I'm always, every time I see that, I'm like, but she's gonna drop a bunch of souls, and you're not gonna let me pick them up, and I'm angry now.
I didn't think about that. You're right.
This did need a Demon Souls thing of like, she has a very specific soul you can absorb now. It's also kind of like a Mega Man thing.
Yeah.
You got Wasp Power, Wasp Beam.
And it's funny because
really
like,
cool addition.
once you get the great bow and the arrow, it's like, it's a sprint to the finish, man. Like, they're like, we're wrapping this up. Let's go. Like, you got one
time.
mini boss, and then just book it to the last boss. Like, don't even worry about these enemies.
I still did a little bit, but I was getting to that point too. So I want to talk about the Dark World. Dark Realm.
The optional
the challenge
thing? Yeah.
gauntlet. Yeah.
Yes, I did this too. I never did it before, but I had save state, so I was okay with it. I wasn't scared of it. But what it is, it's 20 rooms, and each room you fight a bunch of enemies, and then you'll sometimes get an item, and then you go on to the next room, and it's 20 rooms of this. And this is. It was kind of cool. Like, I mean, I had a bunch of medicine, so I'm like, I don't care. I have items to use. I'm going to use items. So I use save states, of course. So if I had a really bad room, like, oh, let's redo that room.
Jealous.
Well, that's how I play. I mean, but it was kind of cool. Like, I don't like gauntlets usually in games. I only did this because I knew what the item that you get at the end of it is. Mm-hmm. But it was still fun. Like, that's how I saw a lot of enemies that I didn't see. I wouldn't have seen before.
And then you see them later, and it's like, I'm totally prepared.
Yeah,
and I don't know what you're worried about.
That's what made it cooler, but it was kind of interesting. Like, some of the stuff that you had to like fight. I used a lot of magic whenever I could.
Oh yeah, like it's definitely geared towards that, and it's cool because of the, it starts out very simple. Like, okay, here's just some skeletons. Now here's the dudes that, the ninjas that hop around, but it's just them. But then when it starts to throw different mixtures of enemies at you, like, that's when it gets really interesting, where you have to like prioritize and kind of, then you start rationing your magic, where it's like, okay, I need to use regular attacks on these enemies because it's also mixed in with the big bull dudes with the axes, and I need to save my magic for them. And so anytime that you get more magic, it's like, okay, holding on to this, because I know there's going to be another big guy in the next room, so he's getting that.
I like also how you get there. There's some weird little cocoon guy that just drops down and go, "Hey, got a challenge for you."
Mm-hmm. So weird.
He also does not want to talk to Kaede.
No.
Oh. He
also doesn't have time for you at the beginning of the game. He just stares at you.
Yeah, you have to have all your magic at least level 2 before he'll talk to you.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. So whenever you have all that, he'll talk to you. So it's kind of like the game setting it up. So make sure you do certain things.
Mm.
Yeah.
You can also upgrade your bullets, your herbs, and your arrows, like fire arrows, burst bullets, and medicine, respectively.
I like that your gauntlet. I like that your gauntlet transforms as you absorb souls as well. That's neat.
That's cool.
I love. I don't think so. I just like seeing my character physically change throughout the game. Like, in role-playing games, like, if you have armor sets that actually change the way my character looks, I love you. Just automatically, like,
you must love Xenoblade then.
I haven't played it, but yeah, I'm sure I will. I'm Final Fantasy is my favorite franchise of all time, and like, if Final Fantasy 16 doesn't have actual sets of armor that change the way the character looks, I'm gonna be very upset.
You know what is upsetting though, actually, is that Kaede passes at least 2 gauntlets in the game. Does not think about picking one up.
Because it wasn't gifted to her by the Animusha.
But she could have that inner struggle with her ancestors or whatever that scene was supposed to be with Samanosuke.
They didn't tell her to seal the souls of the demons to her right hand, so she can't.
I guess, but you don't know until you try.
And then when you finish the Dark Realm, you get a flute, which the game does not tell you what the flute is for, but that's the final item you get.
It's an ocarina.
Yeah, I like it. Like, because the guy told me what to do. And when you go to the final area, you fight the same boss that you fought on the roof, but this time he's stronger and he changes up. Like, at one point he had 2 swords when I was fighting him.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what are you doing with 2 swords?
His attack pattern is really cool too, because he once he gets the 2 swords, he like dashes in, he slashes, and then immediately dashes back so you can't counterattack. And it's so you really have to be like on your game and be like, okay, as soon as he's out of here, I need to like quick step forward if I'm going to like do anything. And I really like, you have to kind of think about that one a little more than some of the other bosses.
He was cool. And it's a good little thing, like, as you fight him, then right after you fight him, you get a save point, and you get your and then it's right in there where you have the door. You have a skeleton hand covering a door you have to go up to, pick the flute, play the flute item, then the door opens, and you get the best sword in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I was trying to press, like, C left, C down, C right, and then C left to try to go back in time. I guess I did it wrong. No?
Yes.
Took a second before I got where you were going, but I'm like, oh, no, I get where he's going. And then
You're more of like a Zelda, or like an earlier Zelda puzzle, where like a skeleton hand door would just be like a thing you'd see.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to use the item, and then it's gone. And then that was cool, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it gets us to the final boss, which has a really cool cutscene before he shows up.
Which is not really as cool when you have to watch it several times.
Yeah, that you can't skip cutscenes in this game, which is an issue, and I don't think you can either in the HD version.
You can.
Yeah. Oh, okay, they fixed that. Oh, before this, you have a giant spiraling staircase of bones you have to run down for no reason, and then you get 2 medicines right before the final boss, but they're like, yeah, we know. Here, have some health items.
Yeah, like I said, the last area is like, the designers are like, I don't know, it's like a circle. Just run down the circle. We just want to finish this, guys. Let's just
go. What
is
intriguing to me is that you can only get 2 medicines in that room. There are at least 3 you can grab, but you can only grab 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When you go down the staircase, if you kind of hug the wall, you'll be able to find one of them.
Oh.
But you can't. But then at the bottom, you can only grab 1 more.
Interesting.
That's weird.
They just want to make sure that you have like those. They want to make sure you get 2 before you go in,
but not 3.
Yeah,
it's weird. Oh, and the whole like plan of what the demons are doing is they're going to capture the princess, and they captured her nephew or whoever the kid is, and they're going to kill the kid in front of her, so that way she's sad and they'll suck her soul in. Is that what it was, right?
Well, they'll kill her and then fill her blood. They'll fill her skull with her blood, and then have Nobunaga drink from that. And because of her sorrow right before she dies, like her blood will be even more powerful, and then he'll do stuff.
He'll be the Oni King. He'll control the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or I guess the Genma King. I don't know.
The Genma King. Yeah, it's not really well defined. Because, if you read the books from the weird scientist demon, you definitely get the impression that he doesn't really want to do this. Like, he doesn't like helping humans, but this is what Lord Fortinbras is telling him to do. But it also seems like it doesn't really explain like why they even need like a human to get demon powers and lead the army. It seems like they could just kind of do that themselves if they wanted to. But it's neither here nor there. You fight a big snake boss with wings.
I like this. I mean, so you only hurt. So you have to keep hitting him until he drops his head. You only hurt him when he drops his head. Is that what it was?
I don't think so. I think that's just when that's when they want you to like really I think that's when you would want to like actually do like your magic attacks is when he's down. Maybe that's why I was doing it wrong. I think if you hit him with a magic attack when he's down, that's when he drops more orbs.
Okay, because I was just using. I had the Bishamon sword, so I just kept hitting triangle all the time, and it just does whatever it does. A little special attack.
Right.
Because I didn't even bother dodging. I had like 15 medicines or maybe 18 medicines, so I would just stand there, smack, smack, smack. He does a spell, hit me. Okay, whatever. Smack, smack, smack. Heal, smack, and then just continue doing that the whole game, the whole fight. Until I won. Because I didn't care anymore. I was like, I have 15 medicines. I've been saving everything. I guess now's the time. I might as well just use them. I have them.
And it's very easy to just go up there and just start wailing away. But then there's that one-hit kill move, and then
what's the one-hit kill move?
Yeah, tell me about this because I've never encountered this.
I've encountered okay, so let's see. I got him down once, twice, 3 times, right? Where he gets into his little crouch state, and then he gets back up, and then it's on that 4th time when you start attacking him, he can just like grab you and like
you can
lift you up.
That isn't a one-hit kill.
I never was able to break it.
You have to tap all the face buttons to get out.
All of them?
Yeah, because when they grab you in this game, I would just tap square like or X or something like a normal game. I started hitting all 4 and I got out faster. And then when I was listening to reading the guide, it said tap all 4.
That's my problem then. I just tapped 1 or 2.
Yeah, because that's what you would do in a normal game. But I guess they didn't know. They're like, make you tap all 4. Yeah, you gotta
but if you fail, you die.
Yes.
It's still pretty much a one-hit kill move.
But you can get out of it.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
I never seen it. I didn't see it when I played, but that's because he never stopped. He fell over a lot.
But like it was no matter how many times I tried, it was always that 4th time he managed to grab me.
Huh. Now that you mention it, I do remember seeing like a different animation because he throws out these like laser beams from overhead that they're telegraphed on the floor so you can dodge them. He has an eye laser that he kind of like arcs on along the floor in a straight line. He has a fire breath that goes in a 180 degree path, and then he has like a punch or like a strike with his hand. But now that you mention that, like I did remember seeing like towards the end of the fight, like more of a swinging animation, but I didn't get hit by it because he would always do it when I had backstepped out of the way of the overhead lasers. So I was like, I don't know what that's supposed to be, but I didn't get hit by it. Okay.
And then after you beat him, you get the ending cutscene where Sananosuke rescues the princess and the kid, and then he gets grabbed by the snake dragon thing.
Yes.
Or demon, and it does look kind of like a dragon because of the wings. And this is when he turns into an Animusha for the one and only time in this game.
Yes.
Which is like, I don't know why this wasn't a gameplay thing.
Exactly. It's like, this is another thing where I'm like, you guys had this idea of having him transform into a really cool thing for this fight, but then you couldn't do it in time, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because it's such a tease.
He gets the blood on the gauntlet, which I know there's been blood on there. I got stabbed plenty of times in this game. He gets the blood in the gauntlet, then he turns into the demon, the Animusha.
Yeah. And he fucks that guy up. Like, it's really good. He blows up one of his hands, slices through the other arm all the way up to the elbow, like just cuts it in half, and then like stabs him in the head and makes both of his eyeballs pop out of their sockets. Like it's good stuff.
I'm watching it right now. Like, yeah, it is freaking violent, and it's just surprising because like the only other Animusha game I played is Tactics, and you can in that Tactics game when you get midway through, you can turn into an Animusha in battle.
Yeah, I think they do it in 2 and 3. Like I think Jubei is able to eventually transform, and I'm pretty sure that Samanosuke does it in 3. Okay. So it just makes me think that like, yeah, they had this whole other like design and like game mechanic for it, but they just didn't have time to implement it, so they just put it in the cinematic. And
this is the one other time you see Nobunaga just standing there with Sananosuke, and the building falls apart around them. And that's the end of the game. Kind of. Yep. And then it has like some little thing where it says Sananosuke they never saw him again. I think they say Kaide died 14 years later or something.
Yeah. And then Princess Yuki and Yumemaru, like they went to like explore the world. And yeah, it's kind of funny too, because like you're trying to stop like Nobunaga from defeating the Saito clan, which is the people that own the keep that you're in. But then the Saito clan falls like the next year. So it's like, okay.
All useless.
Yeah, someone else led the army, which makes sense because that's kind of how it works.
I had to look up and confirm that was what Onimusha actually was, because it doesn't tell you.
No, it doesn't say anything.
And then I just was like reading about it after that. It's like, oh, okay. The form that he got in the last cutscene is the Onimusha form. Got it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, it's really too bad they couldn't even have implemented, like, do a Super Metroid thing, or just do something where you get it in the end of the fight. You just, after you beat the fight, you get one more form where you're just invincible and you just beat them down. Like, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just too bad.
And then there's no multiple endings. It's just the one ending.
Mm-hmm. And then you get a ranking.
I got rank B.
I got rank B also.
I got rank B both times, and I was very upset about the second one. But apparently it is tied to how many enemies you kill, how many souls you absorb, and your time. So I had gotten a really good time, but I guess I didn't kill enough enemies or absorb enough souls. Because I didn't even fully upgrade my Gauntlet on the PlayStation version. Because at some point I was like, right, just Resident Evil it. Like, I don't have to kill these guys. I can just run right past them.
Yeah, I finished on the 5-hour mark, and I still got rank B, and I upgraded everything.
Yeah.
I did 3.5 hours. Oh, how many enemies did you guys kill? Do you have a picture of the screenshots?
No, I don't remember.
Back.
I think it was it was like 400 something.
I killed 506.
724.
Ooh.
Oh, so you were, because it's 600 is the threshold for S rank. So
It was
so
just
you're
like
almost
what-
so all you needed to do was like shave your time down and you're there. Because you definitely got the other two criteria.
But the 18 fluorite. If I got 20 fluorite, I could have played the other part of the game.
Yeah.
That's
I might
disappointing.
I might go look for those later because I also want the trophy for it.
Oh, you're one of those people too, huh?
And that's half of the reason why I bought the PS4 version. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna see how fast I can go through this, like on a cold save, and also just like rack up a bunch of trophies in an afternoon.
I used to be a big trophy hunter, or not achievement hunter, but that went
It's
away.
both for me. It doesn't matter. Like,
I just lost interest because
give me those useless rewards.
They are nice though.
I need the validation.
All right, and any last things you want to say before we go on to questions? I have a few or comments. I shouldn't say there aren't any questions.
I just really love this game. Like,
It's really good.
Yeah, and it. So the one thing I will say, so when they released this HD collection in 2019, like it was partially to like gauge excitement about a possibility of either like maybe bringing like one of the other games re-released or making a new one. And apparently it sold abysmally well, like abysmally. So
Jeez.
that made me very sad because I always thought that Onimusha was one of those where like there was the demand for it. And if they made a new one, like people were going to be all over it, but apparently not. So, because go ahead.
I think it was just mismarketed. Like it just wasn't the right time or the right part of the year. It was like a January release.
Yeah. And they didn't really there wasn't a lot of fanfare about it. Like you didn't really see like a lot of buzz about it or ads about it or anything like that. I was just like, I need this day one because I want to replay that. And
if they had bundled
up.
if they had bundled it with like Tactics or something as a re-release, that would have been maybe more intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish. I mean, when I heard it was first coming out, I think it only came out for $20 though, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Because what I was surprised with that it didn't include any of the other games. I mean, 3, I understand that's never coming out again, but I was surprised that it didn't, like you said, Tactics or 2, even 2.
Or even the Genma stuff from the Xbox version.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I'm surprised about retroactively because I didn't even think about it at the time. I can see them. So from what I've understood, it's very difficult to, or at least it used to be very difficult to up-res like the pre-rendered backgrounds. And that's what's kind of kept a lot of these games from getting re-released. And then a lot of times they don't look good, or well, I think they look fine. But if you look at like Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 on HD, like the backgrounds are definitely kind of washed out because they couldn't really get them up to snuff. And so it seems to me like they did more work on this one to get that happening. And so maybe they didn't want to do that on 2 if they weren't sure that it was even going to sell. But man, I wish the 2 was available on HD because that is my favorite. Like you've got multiple characters, like there's a lot more to the game. It's got one of the coolest attract modes in a game I've ever seen. If you don't press start right away, it is just a rocking intro. It's really good. Like if you're listening to this and you don't know, just look up the Onimusha 2 music video. It's so good. Oh.
And like this is a game that I didn't check out at the time when it came out for HD because it's like I don't like Resident Evil. Why would I play Resident Evil with swords?
Yeah.
But it turns out that's exactly what I needed to play.
Right.
So, like because it was great. And
I'm glad I was able to make you play it.
Because like the basic thing is you have a weapon that doesn't run out of ammo.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You could just keep going. It's everything I could have wanted. It's great. It's not
and
like
you're not going to get into a fail state because you ran out of healing items because eventually they're going to drop healing for you. So
yeah,
you can definitely progress through the game.
Yes.
All right, and I got a couple I want to read. I'll start with from the Giant Bomb group. I have one from John Silverman. That post-game mode where you have to slash all the pots is a nightmare, and I hate it. I so badly want to do it so you could use the fancy sword, the Bishamon, from the beginning, which I did not know.
Yeah, apparently that's kind of the key to getting the S rank is that you want to have the Bishamon sword available on ultimate difficulty.
I'm sure that's where you can also get the 2 extra fluorites.
You can get them in the main game. I just haven't gone back to find the 2 that I'm missing.
Well, I guess my question is, does that all carry over, or do you have to start over?
I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure if like the ultimate difficulty is like a new game plus or well, the thing is that you wouldn't be able to get the ultimate difficulty without having Oni spirits finished, which is
Right.
from getting the fluorite. So it's all tied together.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
You have to beat the game first, so yeah, to do it. And then from the PlayStation 2 PS2 group that I found, from Mike Orr, great game except for the water puzzle.
Disagree.
I didn't mind the puzzle.
I thought the lever puzzle was more harder than the water puzzle.
Interesting.
In that it was like barely. But like,
Yeah, not like all 4 of those puzzles are really simple, but
I died from the lever puzzle. I did not die from the water puzzle.
you can die from the lever puzzle?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I know that like there's one of them where you'll get hit by like an arrow if you pull the wrong lever, but I didn't know you could die.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I died from that, yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Okay. And from the last group, I watched the entire Orbital 2 replay. I actually got more than I normally get from these guys, so thank you, people. First one from Oakley Gleason. I really have been meaning to play this game. I actually imported a physical copy when they re-released it on Switch, but just haven't put it on and played it. You should.
Yeah.
It's worth playing.
Yes.
From William Izari. RE with Samurai. You can't go wrong. The lore also goes bonkers in the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
I look forward. Here's a good one from Brad Hangrung. I just remember being confused why all the demons are named after Hamlet characters. I didn't catch that. And another one from William Izari. Low-key, these games have a lot in common with the Neo series, and that team cited Animusha as a direct influence.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll have to try Neo.
I didn't know that. That's cool. I have Neo from Epic because they gave it to me for free at one point.
I feel like that is not a game for you, Mike Albertin. Like,
No, I'm sure it's not, but it was free, so I downloaded it. I didn't say I'm going to install it, but if it's free,
Yeah.
I'm gonna claim it. I claim every free game you'll give me. I don't care if I'll ever play it. I just claim it. I do want to play Neo one day, but I know it's probably not for me. From Neil Hackle, one of my absolute favorites on PS2, one of my first survival horror likes. I love chaining parries like a madman.
so maybe you can chain them in that one.
From Quentin Crowe, the intro CGI movie for 3 is still one of the best intro movies in video game history. I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay.
Not seen it, but sure.
Oh, it is. They mocapped a motherfucking horse, y'all. Like that was big. That was the big deal back then.
I really want to play 2 because I have 2 sitting on my shelf for the last like 17 years or so, 16 years. I've never played it, so I'm not going to play that version, but
maybe I'll commit to 3 episodes in 2022.
And from Will Randolph, so funny story. I asked for Shenmue 2 for my birthday, and my family got me this instead. It sounded vaguely similar to them, I guess, and it had a samurai on the cover, so they just assumed it was the right game. I never told them it was the wrong one because it looked super cool to me, and it was.
Yeah,
and
you ended up with the better choice there.
No,
I've never played
disagree. Shenmue 2 is great.
I really
To be
want to
fair,
play
I haven't
Shenmue
played
1
all
and
of
2.
Shenmue 2.
Shenmue 2 is one of the most interestingly structured games I've ever played.
Yeah, I want to go back and replay 1 and then finish 2 and then play 3 eventually, but
And play
Yakuza
3 still.
exists.
But Shenmue 2 is a fantastically structured and just fascinating game. Way better than the first one.
Yeah.
One day. That's a game I completely missed because of I never had a Dreamcast, so I missed so much stuff been ported now at this point. I mean, hell, Shenmue's been ported too. I own it on something somewhere.
Yeah.
One day. It's on my list. And last question from Dominic Chicoki, the guy who's on this episode.
Hello.
Without looking it up, do you know what the title refers to? Is that the Animusha?
Yeah.
I know it refers to demons, but that's all I got.
Well,
Like,
no, Oni is like those are the like Japanese spirits that don't they like guard the gate to hell?
No, I don't know.
My question was more geared toward the literal of like, did you know that it was referring to the final form?
Oh, no, I did not.
Yeah, I didn't either. I knew that it had something to do with like the Oni that give you the power, but I always associate Musha with that Genesis game.
Now you got me wondering, was Ogre in Tekken supposed to be Animusha or an Ani?
No.
No.
So the typical Oni like design is usually like blue skin, like large tusk-like teeth, white hair. They also come in red. So like if you watch Dragon Ball Z, like the ogres that are in hell, like those are Oni. And then if you play like Street Fighter 4, like the Akuma type character Oni, like that is straight up like what the typical Oni looks like.
I was just curious. Okay.
Yeah.
Because now that we were talking about Ogre Clan, I'm like, I wonder if Tekken 3, because Ogre is in Tekken 3. But okay.
I think he's supposed to be an actual ogre. Like,
yeah, he does look like one, though.
Yeah.
I like Tekken a lot.
Haven't played in a long time, but yeah.
I'm not into fighting games. I just like Tekken. Like the story back then.
I like it's so bonkers. I love just the fact that there's a dude that just routinely throws people into volcanoes. Like that's how he deals with his problems.
Yeah.
I don't like you, family member. Time for the volcano. I'm gonna drag you all the way up this mountain and throw you in. Yeah, got problems. All right, and I think that brings us to shelf stacker box. And Julian, why don't you go first?
Oh, I think it's pretty obvious this is on the shelf. It's on the shelf in multiple forms. Like, I own it on the PlayStation 2 still. It's packed up, but then, like I said, I bought it when it came out in 2019 for the Xbox, and then I bought it yesterday on the PlayStation. I kind of like this game.
Okay. For me, it's going in the stack. I'm a little, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't something that I really, I'm not going to be recommending to many people or just really think much about it. I'm glad I finally played it and conquered that demon that Mike has been dealing with for over almost 20 years probably at this point. Because I played.
Congratulations.
So I finally got the game beaten. Sure, I cheated. For some people, as a ninja would say, I cheated myself because I use save states. But you know what? I enjoyed myself. So I'm going to always make fun of that quote. So I'm glad that the game is done, but it's going in the stack, and I'm glad I finally played it. How about you, Dominic?
I think I'm going to stack it as well. I enjoyed it, but I do not think it is an essential must play. I would consider Shenmue 2 a must play. You need to play Shenmue 2. Onimusha is a good time. I would probably recommend it, but it's not that same level of, oh man, you should play Mega Man Legends. Maybe Animusha 2 when we get there, but
Onimusha 2 improves on the first game in every conceivable way. It's really cool.
I've been wanting to play. I've seen 3. I played 2 for 10 minutes once when I first got it to make sure it worked. I'm like, I'm gonna get back to this one day. Well, that day still hasn't come yet. So I've never even touched 4, other than I remember it came out.
Yeah, I regret not playing it now. I think part of it was I didn't like the design of the character. He just didn't seem to fit the series to me.
I just really want to play 3 now because since I know 3 will never be re-released, I just really want to play 3.
It's pretty cool with the time travel stuff where you have Jean Reno in feudal Japan and you have Samanosuke in modern day France.
Oh,
the fact that it looked cool. I have seen 3 because a friend of mine at the time had 3 or he rented it. I remember him playing 3 and him liking it. And I'm like, oh, this looks cool, but I just wasn't interested in the series because I wasn't good at that type of games and never got around to it. Never even bought 3, surprisingly, or 4.
Yeah, those are games I always saw and heard about, but never really got into or thought I would ever like. So I'm glad. I want to take this journey and go down this rabbit hole.
Will probably happen because I can see this being, especially if this episode does good, this will definitely be a series I dive back into.
This will be your next Legacy of Kain.
It might be, actually. I mean, I did have Julian for all the Legacy of Kain games, so hey, I can get him for all these games too.
I'm waiting for Mass Effect 2. I have I played through all 3 games for the Legacy collection earlier this year, but that's not going to stop me from also playing it again for games my mom found whenever that comes around, because I need to continue that story.
Next year for N7 Day. So I think that's going to happen. The only reason I didn't, because I had a lot of shit going on with, and it's so close to episode 150 where we're doing Final Fantasy 6. I didn't want to throw in another big RPG right before FF6.
Sure.
Fair.
So, but next time everything I should be fine next year. So
I got some hot takes about it for sure. My opinion on that game changed a lot this time around.
I also really want to redo 1 because 1 was such a bad episode because of audio issues, but we'll see. Oh, that was bad. We talked about it, but we just never did it. I was like, yeah, whatever. Someday I want to play the remastered version just to see how different they are, but I'll probably give it a few more years.
Yeah.
All right, and Julian, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at Julian_Titus. I host the Nerds Without Pants podcast, so you can find that show on Twitter at NWPcast and, on most podcatchers. By the time this comes out, you will probably be able to listen to our annual Halloween Havoc episode. And we are once again joined by friend of the show, former host and horror author, Rob Otone. And we're going to be talking about video game characters and creatures that scare us the most. And then we also have our video game cage match segment. And this episode, we are pitting Resident Evil 4 versus Dead Space 2.
Oh.
I'm very excited for that matchup. Even though I kind of know how it's going to go.
RE4 is better.
No.
Dead Space 2 is great. I just reviewed it, but RE4 is better. RE4 is one of the greatest games ever made, so, it just...
Dead Space 2 is nearly a perfect sequel.
I disagree, but I really like RE4, though. We covered
I
both
do
of
too.
them.
I have played that multiple times on multiple systems. But goddamn, Dead Space 2. But not that like Cage Match is based on quality, because it's super not. We judge the games on the most arbitrary criteria possible.
Yep.
But quality is probably going to come into the play here for me.
And Dominic, where can people find you at?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube with my podcast Dissonant Waves. We have a website dissonantwaves.space. If I'm right, this is probably going to go up in the next couple weeks. So our big episode where we actually met up in person for the first time, a couple of us, and went to Nashville for a concert is going to be up, and that's a really cool event, and that's requiring a lot of editing work from me. So I'm going to be very glad to have that done.
What's recording in person? I don't know what that is. Sorry.
No, like we met in person for the first time.
I've never done that either. I've been meaning to.
Oh, okay, I get it.
I've never met any of my co-hosts in person that I've recorded with ever yet. I mean, well, some are my childhood friends, but none of the people that have been co-hosts with me I ever met in person. Like, we always plan to, but then they quit the show, so it never happens.
Yeah, I mean, we've been going strong for over 2 years now, so it just seemed right.
No, it's good. I mean, that's a good way to do it. All right, and if you enjoyed this episode, we have tons of other episodes that we do. Nothing Animusha yet, but it's coming. I'll do more if you like this. So definitely go check out. We've done a bunch of Resident Evil games. So if you want Resident Evil, there's that. We also go through the MCU movies. We do comics. We do games. We do just random films. And we have a Patreon. If you want to support the show, as little as $1, you can vote in our Patreon poll. Currently, you get to decide what pilot test episode we do. We're going to cover one of 4 psychic shows: Monk, Psych, The Mentalist, or Veronica Mars, which is not, but I need something else. Monk's not with. But if you want to join our Patreon for $1, you can go vote for Monk. I don't.
Surprised the Dead Zone's not included in there.
Which one?
The Dead Zone.
Because I didn't think about it.
Oh.
This was kind of a last minute thing. I didn't know. I was like, I need to throw a poll, and I want something that makes sense. I have one poll planned. It's going to be movies from the 80s that Mike's never seen, and I'm going to throw 4 in together. There was a great
ad on the USA Network where the guy from Psych, the guy from Monk, and the guy from the Dead Zone all like had a commercial together.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It was very 2005 when all those shows were on at the same time, and like for the only time, I feel like.
I might have to look this up. Psych is really good, by the way, if you ever watched it.
Psych 3 just got announced, or is coming out soon. The movie.
Okay, I didn't see either movie yet, because they weren't on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, they're on Peacock, I think.
Amazon Prime, what I pay for, so. All right, and I also want to give a shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Balby, aka Mike Stoney from ZP Bite the Bullet, Song the Cool Kid Squad. Definitely go check him out. You see a link in the show notes to his YouTube channel. And I think that's it. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. Only audio, but we're on YouTube. If you like getting your podcast that way, because hey, I can say if you work an office job, YouTube is great to throw on a podcast while you're doing other work.
That's how we do it in Dissonant Waves.
I found out that's the best way to listen to it when you're at work, is just throw on a YouTube tab and just do it that way. But I don't know how I know that, but yeah, I do. So look out for that. And we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.